Ain't about your bread and I can't fuck with ya. I thought you was 100, but you showed me 50. You said you was gonna ride, huh? And the coupe that's parked outside, that bitch looks so expensive. I bet it cut your eye, huh?
Hey, bro, we got Juice WRLD's final. Hold on, bro. So I just lost my chain. Where the fuck my chain just go? Bro, where the fuck my Hey, we reacting to Juice WRLD's final 27 hours, but I'm only gonna be making a 7-minute video, so we just finna see what happened. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 9 minutes inside the Atlantic airport. We've got a guy seizing in here.
This would be the call that unfortunately marked the end of Juice WRLD's life. Just hours prior, he was seen on Instagram joking around and having fun with his entourage in a private jet en route to Chicago. However, whilst on board, the relaxed environment will transform into a state of panic after Juice WRLD also learned that, according to the original leaked case incident report, members of the Gang Investigation Federal Task Force were waiting for them to land at the airport so they could conduct a cannabis/weapons investigation. How did law enforcement know that Juice WRLD would be carrying illegal contraband upon landing? Did it have something to do with his girlfriend's meth trafficking charge from 2 years prior, or the death of another Chicago rapper from only 6 days beforehand? Was his death a result of trying to avoid jail time upon landing, or simply an unexpected overdose at the most coincidental time possible? Some conspiracy theories posit that Juice WRLD isn't even dead at all, some of which being supported by a surprising amount of evidence. Regardless, one thing was for certain, as outlined in the original case incident report. At the time of his death, Juice WRLD, aka Jared Higgins, was a heavy Percocet user and, quote, had a drug problem. He tried lean for the first time in the 6th grade after listening to Future's 2011 mixtape Dirty Sprite 1, with Juice stating, "What do you expect if I'm a young dude that really loves music, really looks up to these artists? I didn't have a man giving me no type of guidance. My father wasn't in my life like that. So listening to this grown-ass man rap about lean, I'm like, well, that sounds really appealing."
You always had issues with drugs even before you started to get famous and rich?
Yeah.
I mean, it was something that I was into early, low-key, due to music. The second song I've ever heard about Future, Dirty Sprite, like off the first Dirty Sprite mixtape, had me wanting to sip lean at like 11, 12 years old, bro.
2 to 3 years later, Juice found himself getting involved with harder substances.
I ran into some Percocets my freshman year, 14, 15 years old, 13, 14.
However, despite showing his knowledge about how bad these drugs were, Juice was unable to stop his addiction.
Your mind can tell you hell no, but your body is dependent, so it's like it could tell you apart.
Battle. His music often referenced needing to take these substances as a coping mechanism for what his girlfriend explained to be an anxious, overactive, fast-paced mind. Being so famous with access to such a large pool of money also seemed to influence Juice WRLD's drug problem.
Do you feel like you fell into that trap though, as you started to get money and stuff, you just started to do more and more drugs and kind of let it get bad?
I would say, I guess somewhat.
While in a different Instagram livestream, he'd state that money did almost nothing to fix the problems that had caused his drug addiction in the first place.
I deal with anxiety and depression just because you got money. Money is the answer to certain problems, but it is not the answer to those type of problems.
In the months leading up to his death, Juice's drug problem appeared to have gotten worse.
We calculated it up, and it was like over 20 pills a day he was doing.
20 Percocets a day?
Yeah. Juice's recording engineer Max Lord would state in a GQ interview, "We were all starting to be on his case a lot more about the amount of pills he was taking. He was hiding and compartmentalizing how much he was doing with different people. He'd come into the studio room and act like he hasn't gotten high at all that day and do a certain amount in there before I tell him, bro, no, chill. Then he was going upstairs and hanging out with the guys and doing the same thing." Max Lord would then go on to state, "I and a couple other people had come to him in tears like, we're worried about you and we're scared we're going to lose you if you keep up these habits and we have to do something," which led to Juice WRLD agreeing to attend rehab, which was scheduled to begin on the 22nd of December 2019, 2 weeks after he would board the flight that would ultimately lead to his death. Jay was supposed to go to rehab that month. We tried so hard to do positive things every day, like ride dirt bikes or paintball to keep busy and not do pills, but every night once he hit the studio, that was it. He loved it. With all this in mind, it's hardly surprising to hear that when Juice WRLD and his 8-person entourage would pull up to the plane, they were carrying an otherworldly amount of illegal narcotics. The group had shown up to the chartered private jet over 3 hours late, according to FlightAware's plane tracker. However, during the Into the Abyss Juice WRLD HBO show, his cousin Sean Bailey would state that they were actually 6 hours late, before going on to mention that the pilot was in a foul mood as a result of the delay. The advantage of chartering a private jet is that once everyone is inside the plane, you can take off instantly. There's no waiting around as is the case with a commercial flight. However, after the group boarded the plane located in Van Nuys, California, they sat around for approximately 15 minutes without leaving, stating that something felt off.
pilot was acting weird, the stewardess lady was acting weird, and I just felt something off. I got up to like, yo, we should leave. You know what I mean? I got up and walked to the door, and then like,
that's God, bro.
To see if the cars were still there, and I'm like, because I was gonna be like, yo, let's just go off this plane.
Yeah.
Like, something's not right.
The details are foggy, but this seems to have been the time during which the pilot of the flight notified law enforcement in Chicago about the contraband on board. This move has since proven to be incredibly controversial online, with rappers such as Boosie as well as Juice's girlfriend claiming that the pilot's snitching had resulted in Juice's eventual death.
I've lost two of the most important people in my life because of snitches.
However, others such as this lawyer on Twitter stated the pilot was trafficking drugs and guns involuntarily and wanted to go home to his family. This is in no way his fault, children. There are multiple Reddit posts arguing about whether or not the pilot is in the wrong, so it's probably best approached by drawing your own conclusion. However, all of this is still assuming that the pilot was the one who notified law enforcement in the first place. There's no confirmation of this in the official police report. Other theories posit the law enforcement planned on searching Juice's jet, as only 5 days prior, the FBI had arrived in Chicago to investigate a gang-related murder of another rapper going by the name of Shooter Shells. Shooter Shells had released a diss track just prior to his death, aimed at a rival gang distantly related to Juice WRLD's record label. So it is possible that the searching of Juice's jet had been a result of suspected gang activity, considering the official police report does mention that the search was for cannabis/weapons. Regardless of the motive behind the search, one thing was for sure. The agents weren't leaving Chicago airport until the plane had been searched in its entirety, which would be relayed to those on the plane as they flew toward Chicago.
Everything was normal and everything was fine, and once we started getting closer to Chicago and we started getting service on our phones, our security guard had texted the group chat and was basically like, cops are here and they have a dog.
This would be the point at which Juice WRLD took an unspecified but assumed high quantity of Percocet pills. The motive for this, according to the popular mainstream media narrative, was so Juice could avoid drug charges upon landing. And while this idea makes sense as a surface level theory, many prominent individuals believe it to be incorrect and fabricated to make the story more interesting when reported. For example, Chris Long, Juice's videographer, who had been a part of the entourage on the final plane ride, took to Twitter stating, "Jay did not swallow a bunch of pills because the police were at the airport. He gave no Fs about them being there. He could have flushed them down the toilet if he cared. Jay was just hooked bad. The amount he took daily was absurd, and he hid how much he took from mostly everyone. Everyone around him tried really hard to get him to slow down. When he agreed to rehab, it was because he wanted to lower his tolerance. He didn't want to stop."
Oh, Juice knew the cops were coming, so took a handful of pills, and like, that's not what happened. I'm like, Juice did drugs, yes. You know what I mean? But he didn't try to hide them, or he knew he wasn't going to get in trouble. He had people around him that are going to take care of.
Other individuals furthered this claim, such as Adam22 from the No Jumper podcast, who had been close with Juice WRLD in the lead up to his death.
I wonder to what extent that story is maybe different. It seems kind of so silly to just take a bunch of pills when it's like, if you were really getting busted with a bunch of illegal stuff, a handful of perks is not going to make a dent in the case.
Perhaps Juice took a high dosage to alleviate his anxiety, knowing that he was probably going to be arrested after landing. Alternatively, maybe he knew he was headed to jail for the night as a result of the other stuff on board and was taking an extra high dosage to avoid withdrawal later.
Hey bro, if y'all enjoy it, man, and y'all enjoy it, you feel me? Appreciate y'all for watching this video. The video that I was just reacting to stopped a minute ago, you feel me? I'm at 8 minutes of my video, y'all are like 7 minutes. Apparently they were saying that he didn't take pills to hide it from the cops, bro. That he was probably he was taking them before, you feel me? Like it happened because he was already taking pills like that day, boy. Hey, lay out, bro, okay.